This NASCAR Sonoma DFS Picks 2025 edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Get up to a $1,000 deposit match when you sign up at UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code RACESGPN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, and it is Thursday, which means that it is the DFS portion of the week. And Cody, we have made it to the end of yet another week of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
We have, Rod. They're happy Thursday to everybody. We're getting that much closer to racing at Sonoma, which is a great thing. You're, of course, going to be there this weekend, so that's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see see everything through your eyes, Rod. It's going to be really exciting.
It will be. And so it's funny because when I watched the intro video, right, obviously a couple of those scenes were taken from Sonoma. And I just think to myself, in a couple of short days, I will be there again to capture all of that footage. Gorgeous weather, by the way. We are not in any danger. Hold on. As I say that now, all of a sudden rain clouds start to form. But it's supposed to be like 100 and something degrees in the Central Valley this week, and in the northern part of it, maybe in the 80s, maybe 90s up there. So good weather, hopefully, and we don't have to worry about any wet weather tires or any nonsensical anything. It's just a beautiful California day.
Yeah, I'll never forget the final race at Auto Club Speedway, RIP, when it was snowing that weekend, Rod, in California, and it was like, whoa, okay, NASCAR shows up, snows, it's great.
Well, remember I told you, I think it was either that weekend or the weekend before that I was traveling down to Southern California, and I was like, Cody, it's snowing in Southern California right now. And we were like, nah. And then sure enough, the race, snowing in Southern California. And
that'll happen.
It's a send-off to the track. All right. Hopefully today's feed is a little better than yesterday's. I apologize for yesterday's feed. So again, my computer's a lot like me. It's a little old. It's a little temperamental. It's a little tired. And if you leave it on too long, then it tends to misbehave, which is exactly like me. And I did that yesterday. So apologies to those trying to watch the YouTube stream yesterday. Hopefully today's better. Cousin Danny, the champ, is here. I never know if he's talking about himself.
I think he's talking about you, Rod, but maybe he's referencing himself. Who knows? Wait, did he win? I think he did win DFS last Sunday. I think that's probably what he's referring to. I believe he won the DFS contest last Sunday, so that's why he's calling himself the champ. So there you go.
That makes sense. Expert Suck is so freaking bored with. I'm sorry. Should we not say that out loud? I don't know if
don't say my name. Is so freaking bored with work today. Been needing the pod to come on. So glad we're here to help you with that. That's good. Mark is checking in as well, Rod. Of course, he's predicting Christopher Bell will win Sonoma, but he's got some Christopher Bell fun facts. Christopher Bell is going to make his 200th career Cup Series start at Sonoma Sunday. All right, that's nice. And he's going to be in the booth on the CW on Saturday. So a big Christopher Bell weekend. And we talked a little bit about Christopher Bell on Tuesday's episode when we talked about the Cup Series race.
Sure did. And we're not going to talk about him in this particular episode, even though I think he's a good play as any, but I don't know. There's other plays out there that I want more than Christopher Bell. However, if you do want Christopher Bell, I think that is a fantastic play. And speaking of needing pods to come on, Experts Suck, you can listen to all kinds of other pods while you're waiting for us. If you subscribe to the SGPN feed, wherever you get this podcast and any other podcast that you tend to listen to, there's so much out there for you. There's MLB, there's WNBA, there's soccer, there's horse racing, if it's out there and you can bet on it, chances are the SGPN has a feed for you, or at least a show for you, and you can find it all on the feed to include this show as well. Absolutely love it. All right, beautiful Sonoma. We are here getting ready for the road race. Second twisty race in a row. Cody, I don't know that we've ever really done back-to-back road
I
course.
believe this is the first time we've had back-to-back road/street, right? We're just going to call Chicago a road course for now, but I think it's the first time we've had back-to-back. Of course, a couple of years ago, really through the history of NASCAR in the modern era, there were 2 road courses every year. Once Riverside closed out in California, it was Sonoma and Watkins Glen, and that was it. Every year, 2 races, which brings up Brad Keselowski tweeted today. He was quote tweeting a Pete Pistone tweet about, the criticism from today, too many road courses, blah, blah, blah. Brad said we went from 2 to 6 road courses, now possibly 7 next year. Of course, if they add San Diego and leave Chicago as well. NASCAR was successfully built on a primarily oval racing series. IMSA was built as a primary road course series in North America. IMSA will always do better road racing than NASCAR, and that's okay. Brad says, yes, too many road course races in NASCAR.
That is an interesting analysis. I feel like that's one where we could dive into in the offseason, but I think my instant reaction to that is he's probably right, to be honest with you. I like maybe if we take half of them, right? Maybe if we keep Watkins Glen, we keep Sonoma, and maybe Coda. And those are the 3 that we keep. I love the street races for what they are, but now the gimmick is worn off on me.
The street racing thing is not going anywhere because I think it's been successful enough now that if it doesn't stay in Chicago, they're just going to keep moving it, right? San Diego's next. And then what is it? New York City? There's endless possibilities, and that allows them, usually we have to bring the people to the track, right? Because tracks are set in certain places. But when they're not set in certain places and we can bring the racing to the people, NASCAR wants to do that. It's obviously been successful with F1 worldwide. It's been successful in IndyCar as well. And NASCAR wants that piece of the pie. Now they've got that piece of the pie. That's not going away. I think in today's world, road course racing is more of a thing than it used to be. And I get it from Brad, who comes from the old school when we ran 2 races and isn't a big road course guy. I get why he's probably frustrated, right? It's that you're taking away, 4 other opportunities for him to run good. He just doesn't run well at road courses in a general sense. So I get that. But I think 6 is probably the max number. I don't know that we need more than 6. 6 is a good combo. We should spread them out a little bit more. They're kind of all cramped. We just had Mexico. Now we've got these 2. A month from now, we're at Watkins Glen. Can we spread them out a little bit more? Coda was at the very beginning of the season. That's nice. And then the Roval will round it out in the playoffs. But there is a lot down the stretch here. I think that's maybe bringing some tiredness to it. But we've had some pretty decent road course racing as of late. So I think that helps. But I think 6 is where they should probably try and cap it. But, Mexico City seemed to be successful. The Chicago thing, do they keep Chicago and add San Diego? They want to go back to Canada. Guess what? That's a road course. So, yeah, you're going to have to figure some stuff out. And, they already dropped Road America. That had its run for a couple of years and actually produced really good racing. But, that got dropped off the schedule. So if you keep adding things, if you want to add San Diego, if you want to add Canada, you're going to have to drop some of these. We don't want to see Watkins Glen and Sonoma go away just because they're such traditional tracks. So, yeah, 7 is a lot. If we had Canada in 2 years, or we had 8 now, that's way too many for sure. I think 6, is fine, but I don't think we should have more than 6.
Selfishly, I don't ever want to see Sonoma go away. I just don't. That is my selfish nature, not wanting to see a track.
It's our only California track now, so I don't think they're going to get rid of that. And it's been on the schedule for 50 plus, I think it's 52, 53 years. It's been on the Cup Series schedule. So With the exception of 2020, it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, 2020 was that was the one year that I was going to be able to go, and then it was like, nope, can't go. So luckily, I went to next year.
Yes,
but yeah, look at for me. Like I said, I 4, okay, maybe 4. You could talk me into 4, but any more than that, I feel like doesn't necessarily wet my whistle. But that's all right. I mean, that's for them to decide, and we'll have plenty of discussion about it over the offseason because all we have is time.
I did have one more thing I wanted to talk about real quick, Rod, before we jump into the picks. Cody Ware revealed on SiriusXM this week that the Chicago wreck cracked his Hans device, the EPS foam in his helmet, and also bent the steering wheel in his car. Now, let me remind you, that wreck, not worthy of a caution. We had to throw the caution 35 seconds later for the car in the barrier, but the wreck itself, not bad. Hardest hit ever. The next gen era, not worthy of a caution. Rod, head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Get your race officials or terrorist shirts today because, my God, what are we hardest hit ever, cracked his Hans device, steering wheel, and the foam in his helmet, and we did not throw a caution flag for it.
Well, again, entertainment value, safety value. That's another debate we'll have over the course of the offseason. It just doesn't seem to make much sense anymore. And honestly, Cody, I sometimes wonder what makes sense in this world anymore. And, trying to make sense of it sometimes makes you furious. So I'm trying not to. I'm going to float on and continue to just kind of take this as it comes. No, I know. Honestly, look, I'm glad Cody Ware's okay. Obviously, we have some fun at his expense being Cody Ware more often than not, but I never, ever, 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 no matter how much I can talk crap about him on this show, want to see a driver injured, hurt, or anything like that because, as much, this is all entertainment value too. And like, I'm not wishing bodily harm on a person.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Safety should always come first, I guess I should say. I was going to say does, but clearly it doesn't. Should always come first. Cousin Danny says they held off on the caution because they wanted to see Cousin Danny win the DFS contest. So hard to blame them too much there, Rod.
Yep. Nope. Cousin Danny, you definitely wired them at the right time and said, don't hold. And then
wait for it. All right, put it out.
All
right,
good. Go for it. You can do this now. All right. Well, then, speaking of DFS, let's get to our favorite picks from. Actually, today we're going to do both. We're going to do both the Xfinity and the Cup Series because there's only 2 series, and the fact that we don't have any underdog yet to break down, I think it's a perfect time to do both, like you did last week, Cody. So we'll continue that trend and keep it going. But before we do any of that, what am I tell me about my friends over at Circa? You think you know ball? Well, then you have to enter Circa's football contest with $21 million in guaranteed prizes. No rake. So if entries go above the guarantee, guess what? All that extra money going straight back into the prize pool. So it behooves you to go enter and get all of your buddies to enter because you want that to go over the prize pool. Circa Million, you pick 5 teams against the spread each week and go for the ultimate sweat in Circa Survivor. Even a Circa Grandissimo, that's $100,000 rather, Survivor contest. You got to register in person at Circa Sportsbook in Nevada. And listen, that's just a perfect excuse for you to say, hey, I've got to go to Las Vegas this weekend because I've got to make a great investment on my future. And that's just how we're going to do it. So head over to Vegas, book that trip, get to Circa, and then sign up in Nevada. You can do that and then play from anywhere with the help of SGPN's official proxy. Go to footballcontest.com and use the promo code SGPN to get a $50 off your proxy fees. Our friends over at MyBookie are helping to bring you this show. We're brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the MLB, WNBA, golf, and of course, football futures. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations. Easy deposit, lightning fast payout using cryptocurrency. Did I read off all of those? Well, guess what? They've got Canadian football as well. Taking a look over here at the BC Lions. They are 3-point favorites over the hapless Edmonton Elks. I swear to God, the Elks need to figure something out, whether they change their name back to the Eskimos or whatever. They got to change their fortune. But I'm going to go ahead and take BC over Edmonton with the 3 points, even at -110 over on MyBookie. Absolutely love, BC's got to get it done too. They've got a lot to prove. They're barely above Edmonton in the standings, so they need to kick it into gear if they want to be one of the top teams in the West. Again, follow that bet and any other bet you might like over on mybookie.ag. Promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. 1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That's mybookie.ag. Promo code SGPN. ESPN. My buddies over on the CFL Gambling Podcast, Justin and Colby, can help you with the rest of that slate. And maybe they back me on this BC play, but you got to go check them out as well because they're breaking it down for each and every week on their show.
Yeah, and Justin and Colby, two of the best. I mean, all the SGPN hosts are great, obviously, but they are definitely two of my favorites and an entertaining group of fellas for sure.
It's funny because they're two polar opposites, right? Colby's just that loud, bombastic guy, and Justin's this nice, reserved host that can get animated when he needs to, but just delivers the facts, right? It's a straight man versus Colby's complete and total, out there nature. I love it. It's like Bosom Buddies, that old show from the 90s. But, all right, speaking of Bosom Buddies, let's load up some folks with, I don't know where I was going with that, but let's load up folks with our favorite DFS plays for the Xfinity slate. It is the Pit Boss / Food Max 250 set for 79 laps around this 1.990 mile road course for 157.210 miles around the Sonoma Raceway in beautiful Sonoma, California. As we always do, we'll give you our high-price drivers, our mid-tier drivers, and our low-price drivers for the slate. So, Cody, who are we riding with for the high-priced driver of the day?
Yeah, before I get started, I wanted to address quick. Shane van Gisbergen is $13,000 at the top of the board. That is a hefty, hefty price. Honorable mention to him. Good chance he starts on the pole. Good chance he wins this race. Good chance he leads a lot of laps. That being said, I don't know that you have to play him. He did so last week, leading 27 laps, 12 fastest laps, starts first, finishes first. But it was only 57.2 points. These Xfinity races are a lot, there's just a lot less laps, a lot less to get out there. Also, if we get some cycling stuff like there was last week, he's not going to lead a ton. So I wanted to just kind of toss that out there. Zilich, obviously he started 35th and finished in second, but 80 points out of him. A guy like Sheldon Creed had 45 points. A guy like Sam Mayer he only had 31, but there were a lot of other people out there that scored a lot of points. So I don't know that he's as much of a must play as maybe you think, especially at this price tag at $13,000. It's a hefty price tag. So just wanted to drop that out there, Rod. My first play is going to be from the top of the board here, near the top of the board, $9,000. I'm going to go to Austin Hill, not to be confused with Austin J. Hill, who is $5,300, Rod. Not the Austin Hill that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the regular Austin Hill. I guess Austin J. Hill is going to be in the 35 car for Gase. So this is a good warning about that. Don't think that you're getting the regular Austin Hill at 1,000 to 1 to win this race or something, because it's the other Austin Hill. But the $9,000 Austin Hill is the way I'm going. Just love him. We talked about him in the betting episode yesterday in a couple of different facets. Coming off a fourth place finish in Chicago, coming off a third place finish in Mexico, a fourth place finish at COTA. So 3 for 3 in the top 4 on road courses so far this year. Of course, last week in the Cup Series, he had a top 10 finish as well. Fourth place at the Roval last fall, 5th here at Sonoma last year, 8th in his one other start in Sonoma back in 23, second place at COTA last year in 24 as well. And the bad finishes, few and far between. 33rd at the Glen last year, fine. 11th at Portland. Those are his 2 worst finishes in the last 2 seasons on road courses. And also, he's just the key to consistency that we see. We saw this all last year, right? He was an auto top 5 bet every week. He's turning back into that this year. 9 top 5 finishes in 18 races this year. So he's been inside the top 5 half the races. 12 times he's been inside of the top 7 in 18 races. That means only 6 times he's finished outside of the top 7. Don't have a ton of ringers or cup guys coming down into this race. SVG is going to be here, and Riley Herbst, right? We made a case for as a long shot, but not as much of a threat as if a Ty Gibbs and an AJ Allmendinger and a Kyle Larson were in this race, those types of guys. So Austin Hill at only $9,000, a $4,000 savings that you could reinvest somewhere else over a guy like Shane van Gisbergen. Started second last week, finished in 4th, 38.5 points, a solid day. I think we could expect another solid DFS day from Austin Hill at $9,000.
And with only 79 laps, really, again, these laps led, they're going to be, if Shane van Gisbergen comes out and leads it's 80 of 79 laps. Yeah, that's going to make a difference. But I think with people flipping the stages and everything going on, obviously you're going to cut into some lap lead, and
there's going to be a caution. It's going to lead to strategy. We see this every time it's not impossible. I mean, he could just go out and lead every lap. Maybe everybody kind of stays on the same strategies, but people are going to try and be different, especially to beat a guy like that. So it is going to mix it up, I think.
I agree. Although I do picture Austin J. Hill as Austin running into the changing room and putting on a mustache, sunglasses, changing his fire suit, and jumping into the 35. Like, between every caution, he's just running in there, throwing, and then when he gets into the 21 car and he's still got the mustache on, but
he gets out at the end of the race, and you're like, wait a minute, I thought that was Austin J. Hill. He's like, oh shit, he pulls the mustache off real quick.
Oh, Austin! Oh, Austin! Hey, good to see you, buddy.
Drops the accent he's acquired.
I've watched too many cartoons in my life for that. All right. Speaking of somebody who's got glasses, how about Sheldon Creed, my favorite Canadian that's actually from California? We talk about him in reverence because Sheldon Creed's just that guy you want to root for, and you want him to actually win a race more than you want anybody else to win a race. And for Sheldon Creed, he's $9,300. And you talked about Shane van Gisbergen, Cody, but I'll bring up even Connor Zilic in this instance, where last week, I think the reason his price is inflated, he's $1,000 behind Shane in $12,000 for Connor Zilic. But the reason that I think is inflated, not only do we expect him to be good on this track, right? We talked about him in the betting episode a couple days ago, but because of the fact that he scored that many points last week, DraftKings is like, well, look, I just want to, we just want to hedge and just make sure that not everybody loads up on Connor Zilic expecting another 80-point day. Can both of them come out and be fantastic? Yes. But like Cody said, you gotta differentiate yourself. You said it better, Cody. From everybody else playing either one of those guys. So Sheldon Creed at $9,300 offers a nice salary relief for a guy that's going to be decent, right? This year, it hasn't been the Sheldon Creed that we're used to seeing. 12th in Austin earlier in the season. And then in Mexico City, he finished 11th. But last week at Chicago, a nice solid third place finish, which leads me to believe that quite possibly Sheldon Creed has found his sea legs in this 00 Haas factory car. Now, we know that in that 2 car, he was actually fairly decent at road courses. Not stellar, but we do remember that there's places that he popped up, like Watkins Glen, 2 top 5s in 3 runs there. Sonoma, he has 1 top 5 in 2 starts at the Sonoma Raceway. Remember, they've only been coming here for 2 years now. But overall, road courses, average start of 10th place, average finish of 16th. Doesn't make you feel all warm and fuzzy, but when you look at his performance on this track in particular, it does make you feel all sorts of fuzzy. Well, Sheldon Creed's favorite place to finish, 2nd. That's where he finished last year in this particular race. He started 9th, finished 2nd. And then in the 2023 season, the first year there in that 2 car. In fact, Sheldon was running the 18 car for Joe Gibbs in 2024. Believe it or not, he wasn't running his normal 2 car. So in 2023, he ended up running the 2 car and finished 11th after starting 3rd. So a couple of solid finishes for Sheldon Creed on this race track where, again, if you think that his ceiling is going to be 2nd place, then that means that's a great opportunity for you to come in at $9,300 and swoop him up. So I like Sheldon Creed this week, and I'll take him in DFS.
Yeah, I don't have too much of an argument with it. Obviously, very good last weekend. We've seen him be a good road course racer over the years, kind of always in the mix. And wins a course rod because he doesn't do that. But he's been a solid guy and could be a great DFS play this week.
Yeah, I don't have to expect him to be an outright winner or even try to figure out where he's going to finish. I just want him to finish well. So Rebel Soul checking in saying, hello, everyone. Hello, Rebel Soul.
Hello,
good
Rebel
to
Soul.
see you.
Yes.
All right. Well then, Cody, let's save some folks some money. Let's go down to our low price or a mid-tier driver rather for the slate.
Mid-tier driver, Rod. Austin Green, $7,800. How do you not play Austin Green in DFS? He's been a bit of a gold mine. 43 points last week at Chicago. Starts in 17th, finishes in 9th. No laps led, no fastest laps. Doesn't need to be fancy or crazy. Has a big day. Same exact thing at Mexico City a few weeks ago. Starts in 14th, finishes in 7th place. 44 points. Did have a rough outing at COTA to start the season. I don't remember if it was a mechanical issue or a wreck, but got caught up in something. That happens. Same thing kind of at the Roval last year, but other road course races last year: 11th at Watkins Glen, 10th at the Chicago Street Race, 15th at Portland, 7th at COTA, and Roddy started 22nd here last year and finished in 4th place. Austin Green, we've been on him since day one. We have either bet him, well, we've bet him every single road course since he started last year, since he made his debut at COTA. But we've also played him in DFS just about every single time as well. He continues to pay off. I'd expect another big day out of Austin Green, and it's going to be, man, look at Austin Green and this Jordan Anderson car having another good run on a road course. And yeah, we're not going to be surprised by that because that's what we're starting to expect at this point in time. So Austin Green, great road course racer. When you click on his name, ignore the Las Vegas race, ignore the Richmond race. He's got to figure out the oval part of things still, but he's got the road course stuff figured out. That's all I care about this week. So give me Austin Green at 7,800.
And probably somebody that not a lot of people that are just casual players will probably look at, because obviously Austin Green doesn't pop up on your screen every single week. And so a lot of times when people see a name that they're not used to seeing, they're just like, oh, this guy's a back marker, blah, blah, blah. We won't pay attention to him. And then they'll look at the price and go $7,800. No, I didn't want to pay that for a guy that doesn't start every week. And
like the points average, like it's 22.6. So it's kind of a little bit off putting because you're like, yeah, okay, he's fine. But at that price tag, but what they're not realizing is super high on the road courses, super low on the ovals. We don't fucking care about the ovals because it doesn't matter this week, right? So, I don't think the casuals will be on him much, but Austin Green, nice weapon to have every time we go to a road course.
Indeed. You know who is a weapon? So I talked about the glasses earlier. Now let's go to the mustache side of this, and that's Dean Thompson.
Austin J. Hill? Oh,
Austin J. Hill? No, not that one. Not the sunglasses. And no, this is just a straight up mustache. If you look at his picture on DraftKings, he's got a glorious mustache, does Dean Thompson. Racing in that 26 Sam Hunt car, $6,800 for him. There are drivers that grace the top 10 of the fantasy points per race list that you expect to see up there, right? You expect to see the guys like, SVG especially because he's there, but Riley Herbst, Allgaier, Love, Zilich, Mayer, Burton, Austin Hill, Jeb Burton, Brandon Poole, right? And then right below that, and if you take out Shane van Gisbergen, which you should because he doesn't race all the time, Dean Thompson, the 10th highest fantasy points per race average this season, quietly being a man that you can count on every single week for decent fantasy production. 31.2 fantasy points per race overall this year. And honestly, Cody, it just, to me, like last week, he got you 48 points, right? He got you 48 points at Chicago, which is fantastic. The week before that, he got you 52 points at the Focused Health 250, finishing 11th place. So a huge point day there. And look, quietly, like I said, Dean Thompson has just been putting together a fairly decent week. In Austin, 30th place start, 18th place finish. That is a pretty damn good DFS day. Mexico City, 26th place start, 12th place finish, right? In Chicago, 33rd place start, 14th place finish. He hasn't made a start here in Sonoma yet, but to me, when you're looking at a guy whose road course average start is 28th and average finish is 15th, okay, that's 2 starts, but still, that's pretty damn good in 2 starts to be able to pull yourself into the top 15 on average on road course races when you're not necessarily in the elite equipment. But like I said, a guy who's 10th place in fantasy points per race has done very well for himself on road courses, and he's $6,800. This could be your cheat code because then you could fit guys like SVG or Connor Zilich in this and really rely on Dean Thompson for the bulk of what your points could be if you miss on either one of those. So I like Dean Thompson, $6,800 for my mid-tier driver.
Yeah, Dean Thompson turned it into a pretty solid little racer, Rod. Kind of reminds me of a guy like Riley Herbst where you're kind of hard on him, you shit on him, you're like, this guy comes in with all daddy's money and like he's not really doing much. And Thompson has his moments in the truck series, right? But a lot of times he's wadding up trucks and causing wrecks and doing stupid shit. But we've seen him step up into the Xfinity Series where there's less squirrels to play with, and he's turned out to have some pretty good runs in lesser equipment. So yeah, shout out to Dean Thompson for that. And I do agree with you that he's a good play this week.
And it's because I don't think he's ruffled feathers. That's the thing. Like the 26 car comes by and people are just like, oh, okay. It's Dean. Hi, Dean. And then, he passes him and just everybody waves, hi, Dean, because they don't fear him. Right. But he's driving by you. And it's like, well, okay, I'll let you go. All right. There's Dean Thompson. He can go by me. So yeah, let's ride that to a good DFS day, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. I like it.
I'm going to do that when I go to the Xfinity race on Saturday. I go, hi, Dean.
We did a video of that, Rod, just like the 26 going by, and Rod's just like, hi, Dean. How's it going? Good race. You're doing great.
Deal. All right, Cody, let's save some people the ultimate amount of money and go to our low price drivers for the slate.
Yeah, Rod, going back to the well. Don't be hurt after last week. Give me Josh Bilicki, $5,600. If I'm dipping all the way down near the bottom here, saving some money, whether it's to get in an SVG type, whether it's to get in somebody else, I want Josh Bilicki. It didn't turn out well last week. He got you -4 points. Shit's going to happen, right? He got caught up in a wreck. He was wrong place at the wrong time, and nothing you can do about it. But he is consistent week to week, averaging 20.7 points a week, which is great at this price tag. You go back to Mexico City, 22 points. All he has to do, start 28th place, finish 24th place. That's it. It doesn't have to be anything else crazier than that. You go back to Coda, same thing. Starts in 26th, finishes 22nd, 24 points. That's what we're looking for. That's all we need from Josh Bilicki. We've talked a lot about Josh Bilicki this year between the DFS pods here, but you go back to last year, 8th place finish at the Roval. That upside he's got there. A 10th place finish at Watkins Glen, a great run. Here, Rod, at Sonoma, he started 31st, finished 16th at the end of the day. He finished 12th place at Portland. I might need to even look into his top 10 odds because Josh Bilicki, a sneaky good road course guy. You see him often get in like the 66 car last week at Chicago, goes out and has good runs. 8th place finish at Road America a couple of years ago, 18th place at the Indianapolis road course a couple of years ago. Josh Bilicki, a guy who's very sneaky on road courses. I know the play didn't work out last week, and sometimes it's hard when you go back to the same track type the next week and you're like, oh, I tried this fucking guy last week and it didn't work out. Do not be scared off of this because Bilicki is a guy who can absolutely get it done, consistently gets it done. And I just remember that we don't have top 10s for Xfinity because the books are terrorists, Rod. That's our next shirt, apparently. So we're not going to bet on that, I guess. And I don't know. 60-1 for a top 5. Boy, he's had an 8th place finish before, Rod. You could throw a little buck on that or something. But either way, I'm playing Josh Bilicki in DFS this week. He saves you a ton of money. He's not going to start well. That's what you're looking for. And he's got the upside of finishing pretty good. And more so than the upside of finishing good, he's pretty consistent for the most part. Again, last week, very much an outlier, especially as you look back through his numbers. I mean, that's the only now I could see all the way back to all the way back to Daytona, and that's the only race he's got you negative points. That's the only race he's got you less than at least 10 points. So Josh Bilicki, very good DFS play once again this week at $5,600.
Seems like a lot of our business is reaction and overreaction and how you deal with both, right? How you deal with reacting to what you see and how you deal with overreacting to what you see. Because there's a lot of times, like you said, somebody doesn't want to play Bilicki because it burned him last week. And all of a sudden he turns out and gives you a huge day. And you're like, man, I wish I would have you just got to stay the course, guys. Like if you have a plan, if you have a strategy, stick to it, right? Don't let too many things scare you because like you said, weeks like last week can happen and you just can't control it.
When you look back through it and it's not like, oh, pretty often he does. And sometimes he pops out like he's very consistent, very good at it. There was a bad week in there. Don't overreact to that too much. Now, if it happens again this week, maybe in a few weeks when we go to, I don't remember if Xfinity goes to Watkins Glen or not, but next time we see Xfinity on a road course, like maybe we'll be a little more concerned then. But TK checking in as well, saying too afraid to give that Austin Green top 10. That's 100,000% what it is because they know we'd be all over that, Rod. They know they'd have to pay us out. So they said, fuck it. We're just not giving you any top 10s this week. So shame on them.
Well, that's all right. They'd have to set the number to where we wouldn't want to bet it. And I'm not sure how high that number would be. All right. I don't know that we've ever brought up the name Brad Perez on any episode of any show that we've ever done, but I'm going to bring up Brad Perez I can't even say it right. Bad Perez.
Bad Perez. That's his
I'm gonna
nickname.
give
Bad Perez.
Bad Brad Perez in the at 45 Alpha Prime racing car. $5,100. I'm going pretty much all the way to the bottom. When you look at his numbers, he hasn't appeared in very many races this year. In fact, it's only been 5 to be exact. 16 points of average fantasy points per race. But last couple of weeks ago in Mexico, he got you 8 points last week, which kind of sucks, right? You don't want that. But the week before that in Mexico City, he got you 27 points. And you got to love that as well. You know, Brad Perez, you look at him and you're like, well, okay, yeah, he's there. But like, if you look at the races that he's done in the past, like I said, in Mexico City, he got you a 26th place finish and then a 30th place finish in Chicago. So not very good there. He did not qualify for Austin this year, but last year started 31st at COTA and finished in 18th place. In Sonoma, started 30th, finished 24th. At the Roval, started 31st and finished in 26th. In 2023, in COTA, 29th place finish there, 29th place finish in Sonoma, 32nd in Chicago, but in 19th at Elkhart Lake. He's basically brought in to do these road courses, right? In 2022 in the Xfinity Series, 20 at the Watkins Glen, 23rd at the Roval as well. And then in the Truck Series, I mean, just some middling finishes there. But again, they bring him in for these road course races and just need him to finish somewhere in the top 25. And for me, if I'm paying $5,100 for a guy, I just want him to get me 27 points, right? That's great for me at $5,100. If he could just kind of hold his position or not hold, I guess, but start in the 30s and get me somewhere in the 20s, like that's the kind of day I want out of a $5,100 guy. And Brad Perez has proven to be able to do that in the Xfinity Series and just quietly do it. You know, everybody brings him in to just sort of sit him in a seat and go, okay, here you go, bud. Just wheel this around and finish it for us so we can collect whatever prize money we get at the end of the day. And you can come back and drive for us again. So like I said, I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom for a guy that even if he does finish within the last 5 or 6 spots of the race, can still at least get you some positive points if he starts kind of there in the back. So Brad Perez in the 45 car, $5,100.
Yeah, fun fact about Brad Perez, Rod. He is a disc jockey in his free time. So that's really exciting. But he is also a sort of a road course ringer, right? He grew up with go-karts and went into SCCA where he's driven quite a bit. So got that background in road course racing. And I agree with you. Another good cheap play to help you stuff some more guys near the top of the board.
He's a DJ. I am about to. Oh man! So now I got to say hi to Dean Thompson, and then I've got to go mix it up with Brad Perez.
Also, he's got a pretty nice mustache as well. But
yeah,
he also he's a disc jockey in his free time, and occasionally is the merchandise manager at concerts for a metalcore band. I Set My Friends on Fire. So,
if I could find an I Set My Friends on Fire t-shirt, I would have him sign it.
Brad Perez sign it.
Oh my God. I missed out. I should have. Now I still got a couple days. Amazon Prime is giving out some Prime deals. So
there you go.
We can do this. All right, get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over our DFS plays for this Pit Boss Food Max 250 from Sonoma. Cody started you out with Austin Hill, not Austin J. Hill, Austin Hill at $9,000 as his high price driver. I said that Sheldon Creed at $9,300 was mine. And then Cody said Austin Green at $7,800 is his mid-tier driver. Dean Thompson with that beautiful mustache at $6,800 is mine. Josh Bilicki at $5,600 is Cody the low price driver. And Brad Perez also with a beautiful mustache and a great DJ name at $5,100 is mine. All right, Cody, it is time to get to the Cup Series picks for DFS. But before we do any of that, I would like to formally tell you about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Best Ball Mania is happening all summer long, giving away $15 million in prizes, including $2 million to first place. There's no waiver wire. There's no arguments about trades, and Best Ball is the best way to play fantasy football. Underdog is also a great place to play Pick'em. Go back to my CFL roots, kids. How about AJ Aulette? AJ Olette of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They're taking on the Calgary Stampeders. This dude has been on fire, rushing the ball lately from a just chiseled backup to a guy who everybody loves, AJ Olette. 73.5 is his projection for the rushing total. Give me the higher then. You want me to read you his stats from the last 3 games? How about 139 yards against the Lions, 91 yards against the Argos, and 96 against the Ticats? The only game that he did not hit higher than that 73-yard total was in week 1 against the Red Blacks, that fearsome Ottawa defense where he only got 21 yards. But before that, 3 for 3, or after that, 3 for 3 in the category. So give me AJ Olette higher than 73.5 rushing yards on the day. You can get in on that as well. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN. You're going to claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. It's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. You've heard us talk about Rhythm before. They just dropped a game-changing feature called Power Trends. Essentially the best of the best of what the house model has to offer. These are AI-detected patterns where Rhythm's model has consistently won and has a high ROI. Think a strikeout prop that wins 59% of the time when the line and win probability hit a certain range. Power Trends are updated daily and exclusive to Rhythm. There's no touts, no noise, just clean data-backed bets. MLB Power Trends, 254 and 147 with a win rate of 63% and an ROI of 4.5% in their past 400 bets. You like WNBA? Their Power Trends are 35 and 20 since the launch. That's 63.64 win rate with a staggering 20.7% ROI. Go download the Rhythm app, check out Power Trends, and start betting smarter. You know that we are going to be as well. Brittany Sykes over here predicted at 14.1 points and rebounds for their game against the Mystics as the Aces take on the Mystics. We're going to take the lower than because that's what Rhythm is predicting, 14.1. And the line right now is 18.5. So that tells me Rhythm is not liking that Brittany Sykes is going to get 18.5 points and rebounds. So, yeah, we're going to take the lower than. We're going to trust Rhythm and ride that out. You can too as well. Get your 7-day free trial. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. Sometimes wonder if my obscure sports send people away. I love everything, Cody. I love sports and I love all sports. I think all sports matter.
I think all sports matter as well, Rod.
Gotta love it. All right. Speaking of mattering, Sonoma matters. And that is where we were going with the picks for the DFS for the Cup Series. And then we'll do the same. We'll give you our high price driver, a mid-tier driver, and a low price driver for this slate as well.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of mention the same thing about Shane in this one. $12,500 at the top. He is $2,000 more expensive than William Byron, who's the next person. I would not play William Byron this week. There is more points to be had in the Cup race, so I will give you that. 62.3 points last week. You know, he led 26 laps, 24 fast laps. You certainly could play him, but I don't think that he's an absolute must play, even if he starts on the pole. And we saw last week he started on the pole. Michael McDowell started outside of him. McDowell jumped out to an early lead and looked like he was off to a great day. $9,300. He is my high-priced guy. Same thing with Bilicki, right? Minus 7.9 points last week is how it ended up. But don't look at that. Look at leading 31 laps, 12 fastest laps, started in second place, put himself in a good position here. Obviously, the throttle cable, stuff like that happens, right? That's out of his hands. But he is a very, very good road course racer, and he is extremely good here at Sonoma. Last year started in 12th place, finished in second. 2023 started in third place and finished in, oh boy, where's my tabs going crazy? Finished in 7th place, led a lap in that one as well. 2022 started in 4th, finished in 3rd. So all 3 next-gen races, he's been inside of the top 7, and he's had really good runs. Go back to Mexico City, starts in 5th, finishes in 5th, leads a couple of laps there. 11th at Coda after starting 16th, 15th at the Roval after starting 21st last year, 7th at Watkins Glen, leading 7 laps after starting in 10th, 5th at Chicago last year, the 2nd place at Sonoma that I mentioned. Rough days at Coda in 24 and the Roval in 23, but he won at the Indy Road Course, leading 54 laps back in 2023. Many more great runs by Michael McDowell. A very good and a little bit of an underrated road course. A lot of people might not remember. You know, we always think AJ Allmendinger, IndyCar guy. it's been a long time because Michael McDowell's been in the Cup Series for a shit ton of years at this point in time. He was an IndyCar guy before I don't remember if it was Indy or kart, but one of the two he ran before he came over into the NASCAR world during the boom there, and has obviously made a hell of a career out of it. But he's still a very good road course racer, especially in this next gen car. And we've seen these Spire cars kind of really step up the game, right? I mean, previously, obviously, he was doing it with Front Row, but Spire's shown that they can, well, I guess they didn't show us last week because the throttle cable went bad. But for the most part, they've shown us they can hang. So give me Michael McDowell as my high price guy at 9,300.
2/3 of Spire have proven that they can hang. I'll let you decide which 2/3 that is. And you can go from there. But yeah. All right. I forgot to set up this race. Sorry. It's 110 laps around this 1.990 mile paved course for 218.900 miles around the beautiful Sonoma Raceway. And yeah, again, this is just somebody who can be good on road courses. And look, maybe if he does start farther in the back, then you're better off because he can find his way up to the front. Experts suck, saying biggest decision. Go stars and scrubs with SVG or drop SVG and have the ability to get Larson, Reddick, McDowell in the same lineup. Ow.
Yeah. And see, I think that either can be successful because there is definitely a way that SVG starts on the pole, that he leads just about every lap other than flipping stages. And he really has a big day. But I think that so many people are going to shove him into the lineup at this price. And as we talked about on the betting episode, I just think this week is not going to be quite as easy as Mexico. It's not going to be quite as easy as Chicago. Still think he's the best. I still think he's the most. It's his to lose is how I'll put it. But I think going different could be the way to do it this week. And there's a pretty solid chance that's how I end up playing it, is trying to get the Larsons, the Reddicks, the McDowells, some of these other guys near the top of the board rather than just shove SVG in there and go all cheap. It'll obviously depend a lot, starting positions and stuff. You ended up with all 400 cars. Well, 2 of the 4 being scored from the back last week. Guys like Denny Hamlin starting really far back and finishing 4th, have great days. So that obviously, affects decisions. If SVG starts last, you have to play him because he's going to end up scoring a lot of points most likely. But I do like the not going stars and scrubs and spreading the love, by saving a little bit of money at the top.
I'll tell you this. If you put SVG in right off the jump, your average salary per player remaining is $7,500. So you would have to find a way to make $7,500 stretch between 5 more roster spots, right? And that is
I think the other big advantage to not playing SVG is everybody else is. Now, that can go either way, right? That can hurt you if everybody has them and you don't. But if he does end up having a problem, I think a majority of the, more than 50% of most contests are going to have SVG, I think. So I think that there could be a pretty big advantage there, especially if something does go wrong.
Well, and then you can also load up on a guy like Chase Elliott, like I'm about to suggest, $9,800 for Chase Elliott. You want to talk about the model consistency this season, right? He has the highest average fantasy points per race in the entire garage this year. 47.2 is his average points per race this season, above Kyle Larson, his teammate, at 46.2, and Hamlin at 45.1. So, we talked about all season long that Chase Elliott's just this guy that's going to consistent you to death, and that's exactly what he's been doing this year, as he's got 10 top 10 finishes in 19 starts. He finished 16th in Chicago, but he started 39th in that race, which got you 50 points on the day, right? So that's a really good DFS day, salvaging it from a very last place finish. And who knows, he probably could have had a much better day as well had things been different. But as far as him in Sonoma, like we always associate him with really solid runs at Sonoma. Last year, he got you 43.45 fantasy points, the 9th best total on the day. The year before that, in 2023, 47.55, the 4th best total of the day. And then in 2022, he got you 42.8, which is the 8th best on the day. Look, I'm telling you right now, I read off a bunch of 40s stats, right? That's exactly what you get out of Chase Elliott. You know that his floor is right around 40 points, where his ceiling can be much better than that. Last year, like I said, he finished 4th place that year. 2023 and 2023 finished 5th place after a 10th place finish. Overall on this track, 6 top 10 finishes and 8 starts, 4 top 5 finishes in that span as well. He's led laps in the last 5 races on this track. And I'm telling you, it's just Chase Elliott, right? One of those guys just a plug and play almost every week, but this week in particular, because everybody's going to be chasing after the SVGs of the world. And I think you can differentiate yourself by a Chase Elliott, who's got proven success on this track and definitely a solid floor that you can manage and a really good ceiling, which could possibly be a win if he plays his cards right, which has eluded him on this track.
Yeah, he's been one of the most consistent drivers everywhere. He's also been one of the most consistent drivers on the road courses. Of course, he has 7 road course wins to his name. Don't forget, all in the pre-next gen era, but he's been extremely good in the next gen era despite not having a win as well, and he can rack up those points. So speaking of guys who can rack up points, Rod, over in the mid-tier section, Chris Buescher, $8,600. I didn't intend for this to be the theme of my picks this week, but another guy that don't let last week throw you off the scent, right? Chris Buescher was going to be a competitor last week, starts 8th place, works his way up to the top 5 quickly, and then they have the problem, right? They have to go change the ECU. He falls way back, but he still, comes back and finishes in 18th place. So it was a fine day for him. But Sonoma, he is really, really good. He has the best average finish in the next gen era. Last year, starts in 26th place, ends up leading 32 laps and finishing in 3rd. That's a hell of a DFS day for you. Back in 2023, starts 7th, finishes in 4th. And in 2022, started 3rd, led 4 laps, finished in 2nd place. We've talked about Chris Buescher time and time again. He is Mr. Consistent on road courses. He is great on them. 16 of 20 starts in the next-gen era on road course/street courses. Top 10 finish for Chris Buescher. He's a guy that just consistently gets it done. We saw a few weeks ago at Mexico. Again, nothing that fancy. Starts in 16th, finishes 10th place, 40.3 points. That's a fine day for you. Don't let last week's mechanical issue. Look, mechanical issues happen. We've seen it plenty of times. We saw it with McDowell last week. Bilicki was in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Those things happen, but it's not a consistent pattern all the time of happening. Buescher should be fine this week, knock on wood, from mechanical issues. And if he is, he has been the best driver, the most consistent driver on this track, despite not having a win yet in the next-gen era with the best average finish constantly in competition here. So give me Chris Buescher at a nice, cool $8,600. And real quick, just to put these 3 guys, McDowell, Elliott, Buescher, all pretty solid guys, the 2 best average finishers here, by the way, in McDowell and Buescher, and you still got an average of $7,400 to spend on your other 3 spots. So there's definitely, experts suck saying decision made, variance is our brand. There's a way to get pretty variant and end up with, again, we'll see what starting positions look like, right? Because that's going to determine some of the plays, but you get some pretty solid guys in here by saving money a little bit.
Well, and that's the thing too. Guys like Buescher, like we said, he's quietly doing it. Like he's not out there banging the drum, and he's just sort of quietly doing it. Guys like us obviously talk about it because we're keeping up on it. But when the SVGs of the world and the Allmendingers and the Larsons and the Elliots are all sucking up all of the bandwidth, and guys like Buescher are just kind of, like TK said, not convinced that he's going to have the speed to win. But look, at top 5, top 10 is all you need.
I mean, RFK 3 years ago, in the first year of the RFK, coming off of the Roush Fenway years, was a shitty team, and he goes out and has a second place run to Suarez. Ran second literally all day. You don't get DFS points for that, unfortunately, but he was second place to Suarez the majority of the day, right there behind him, and you thought maybe he had chances to win. And RFK has come a long way since then. We've seen plenty of speed out of them lately. 3 or 4 races in a row there, they had all 3 cars in the top 10 or whatever it was. Had some good runs. I don't think speed is an issue at all for Buescher. And everybody last week, from what you heard, talk in the garage was like Buescher's a guy that SVG was a bit afraid of, was going to have. I don't think SVG is afraid of many things at Chicago, but Buescher is a guy that he definitely had on his radar, right? And a lot of the teams did as well. And I think that's going to be the case again this week.
Sheldon Creed would just kill in second place points. That would be his moneymaker.
He'd be the all-time goat of second place points.
All right, my mid-tier driver, Ross Chastain, Melon Man, $8,400. If you look at Ross Chastain, you go, yeah, but he's not really a road course guy. And, well, kind of not. But guess what? Top drivers at Sonoma since February of 2022, courtesy of our friends over at NASCAR Driver Averages. You got Chris Buescher. Yeah. You get Michael McDowell. Okay. Yeah. You get Chase Elliott. Then you get Ross Chastain. 7.3 average finish, 1 top 5, 3 top 10s in the last 3 races on the track. And then you go, okay, but that's great. That's Sonoma, but that's where we're at, right? But then you look at the road courses since February of 2022. Then there's Ross Chastain kind of tucked right there inside of the top 10 behind guys like Bowman, McDowell, Bell, Reddick, Elliott, SVG, and Chris Buescher. Ross Chastain, average finish of 14.1 in 20 races. You can take Shane van Gisbergen kind of out if you want and move Ross up a spot because Shane's only done it in 9 races. But a win for Ross, 5 top 5s, 10 top 10s in that span in road course races. What does that translate to on Sonoma? In 2024, Ross Chastain got you 45.7 fantasy points, which was the 6th best total on the slate. Again, you like that for a guy that is $8,400. I kind of went a little higher on mine, but only because I know that Chastain's a proven commodity. 40.6 in 2022 or 2023 rather, which was the 9th highest total on the slate. And then in 2023, 38.35 points for the 10th best on the slate. I mean, Ross Chastain is just one of those guys where you just don't give him a lot of credit for being a road course guy, but he's been able to hang, right? And guess what kind of equipment he's running? Oh, that's right. Yes, he is running the same equipment as Shane van Gisbergen. It's not 2311 Trackhouse Confusion. They're both in Trackhouse equipment. So, Ross has learned a thing or two from his buddy SVG about how to run road courses. In fact, the broadcast has even said it, right? Ross is probably sitting there crisscross applesauce in front of SVG asking him the secret to road courses. And SVG's opened up the book and read from the Golden Tomb. And I think Ross has soaked up quite a bit of it. And he's already a good road racer in his own right. But this is just making him better. So especially at Sonoma, I really, truly believe that he's going to be in for a nice, solid DFS day. And if I can get 40 points out of him again, so much the better.
Yeah, absolutely. TK saying as a newer fan, Chastain is a road guy who doesn't think of himself as one. He's also trying to change his road driving style based off working with SVG. I mean, can you get much better of a teacher than SVG at this point in time, right? And we know he's capable of it. He cashed a 40-1 a few years ago for us at Coda in a great road course race there. So you got to love that, Rod. I am a man of the people, Rod, as we go to our cheap drivers. You want to work SVG into your lineup at $13,000 or $12,500, I guess, for the Cup Series. You're going to have to save some money. And I'm going to once again endorse for president, our friend and leader, Kathrine Legge, $4,500. Look, she turned out to be a hell of a play last week if you played her at Chicago. Starting 33rd, so she didn't even have to start at the back. 19th place finish by her. Great day. But we've had good runs from her really in every race this year, even Phoenix and Oval that she ran earlier this year. She starts in 37th. And the great thing about her is her car is slow. And that's actually to our advantage because she's going to start last. She started last at Phoenix. She started last in Mexico. She started last of the cars that qualified at Chicago. Now, there were some people who started behind her that didn't run any qualifying laps, but she's paid off each and every time. 19 points at Phoenix, 14 points at Mexico, 38 points last week. Is she going to have another 38-point performance? Probably not. It would take some chaos, but hey, this track has seen its fair share of chaos over the time. But the hope and the thought is she starts last. She's a decent driver, right? They're going to maybe play some strategy, whatever it is. You're going to get some cars that fall out of the race. You're going to get some people that wreck. You're going to get some people that blow up. Whatever the case may be, she's going to beat all of those people, just rack up some points. Oh, and she saves you a shit ton of money. So whether you're forcing in SVG or whether you want to go with a bunch of other guys near the top of the board, you could save a ton of money with her. She has no downside. There's no downside to playing her. Even, if she starts 33rd, if she'd have finished last, she loses you, 4 points or something? I mean, it's not much of anything. She's probably going to start 37th or 36th this week. And every position she gains, it's going to be a couple of points, and that's what you're looking for. So, yeah, give me Kathrine Legge once again at $4,500.
We're going to do not the leg lift because we're not lifting it. We're just going to do the leg press where we're giving you leg to
press her into your DFS lineup, Rod.
Yes, the leg press into there. Absolutely love it. Yeah, again, this is the kind of opportunity that you take on a driver like Kathrine Legge, and you put her in your DFS lineup, and the only thing she could do is good. Like you said,
it's not going to hurt you, which is that is such a massive. I knew cousin Danny was going to like that play. He comes in with all the leg emojis, but she's not going to hurt you, which is great. Oh, and she's probably going to end up with some points. And shit, we saw last week she's actually got some pretty decent upside if some crazy stuff happens, right? And if we're not throwing cautions for the hardest hits in next gen history, shit, who knows what she could do if she's just out there running away from people.
I know what she can do. She can give you some fantasy points, which is exactly what we want out of her.
That's exactly
all right. I'm going with my legacy love one more time. Erik Jones. He shouldn't be $5,500 on this one. He has got the 12th highest fantasy points per race average overall. And again, when you talk about this is okay, Rod, it's a road course. I get that. But we've had road courses, right? We've had all kinds of crazy stuff this season, and he still managed the 12th highest fantasy points per race average, better than his teammate John Hunter Nemechek, better than Chris Buescher, better than Alex Bowman, better than Chase Briscoe, better than Bubba Wallace, better than Kyle Busch, better than Ty Gibbs, better than all kinds of Carson Hocevar, Daniel Suarez, McDowell, the list goes on and on, right? He's averaging 31.3 fantasy points per race. Not bad for Erik Jones, and I think that's going to continue in this instance. When you look at Erik Jones, what has he done here? Well, he got you 43 points last year. He finished 19th after starting 38th. That was the 10th highest total on the slate. Oh, I forgot to mention, he is $5,500, or maybe I did mention it at the beginning of it. I don't know. In 2023, he only got you 5 points. That was a tough day, but those days happen. But in 2022, he got you 31 points, which was the 15th best total on the entire slate. Like I said, Erik Jones just going to be one of those guys that is going to consistently give you some pretty decent finishes and enough fantasy points to warrant a spot on your roster, right? He gave you 23 points in Mexico City the other day, 26 in Chicago last week. So those are a couple of good totals there. Got you 20 points in Coda. So, not the greatest of turnouts, but that's still almost four times what you're paying for him at $5,500. That's still pretty damn good for a guy like that. Because when you look at the folks that are underneath them, I mean, obviously, you're going to play Kathrine Legge. That's just the thing. But you got Cody Ware, you got Riley Herbst, you got Ty Dillon, Josh Berry, Ricky Stenhouse, Austin Dillon. Those are the guys all underneath them. And while you could probably make a strong enough case for some of these guys, I feel like none of them would be stronger than Erik Jones. So give me Erik Jones, $5,500 as my low price driver.
Yeah, it's been a great season for Erik. Things are really clicking over their legacy. Got a little bit of side action for Erik this week. He's racing his teammate in the bracket challenge. They're going to some of the drivers might say they're not paying attention, although Erik did make comments. I don't remember which podcast he was on. He was on one of the I think he was on DVC this week, but he was like, oh, it's time to wake up and pay attention to this thing. He's one of 8 drivers left for $1 million, right? So they're going to be looking at it and trying to get a little bit of that brings that little bit of an extra edge, right? And I think that could pay off this week for Erik Jones.
I think lost in the tournament bracket, right? Because we tend to think of these guys as like, oh, well, they probably don't need $1 million. But I mean, how happy are you when somebody just walks up randomly and hands you $10? Right? I mean, that's to me, I guess that's it's just like, oh, I didn't need this $10, but now I can go buy myself, a couple of.
Rod. I need that $10.
Well, see, okay, I do too, but there's some people that maybe $10 isn't anything they need. But yeah, it's always appreciated when you get it. So, all right, I love it, and that is going to be our slate for our picks for this slate. And let's go over those. Get out your pen and paper as we go over our DFS plays for this Toyota Save Mart 350 from the Sonoma Raceway. Cody started you out with McDriver, Michael McDowell at $9,300 as his high price driver. I said Chase Elliott, $9,800 was mine. Cody dropped down to Chris Buescher at $8,600 as his mid-tier driver. I said Ross Chastain at $8,400 was mine. We are doing the leg press on the show. $4,500 for Kathrine Legge to be part of your DFS lineup. And then top it off with Erik Jones, $5,500 as my low price driver. And there it is, Cody. Sonoma in the rear view now.
There it is, Rod, in the rear view, but still out of your front windshield because you'll be headed there soon. I am excited. Make sure you stay tuned to the YouTube because Rod's going to be having a bunch of stuff this weekend from Sonoma. I also am going to drop, hopefully later this evening or tomorrow, I got a $5 free play in my Underdog. They just sent me $5 free play, Rod. So you know what I do with free plays is I'm going for broke. So I'll be putting together an eight-legger on the fantasy projections there, trying to maximize that potential payout. So I'll share that over on the YouTube Shorts. So make sure you pay attention to that. Have fun this weekend in Sonoma. Very excited for you. Very excited to see everything through your eyes. Good luck to everybody this week, Rod. And follow me on the X at Husker_Zeeb. In the meantime, I'll see you guys over there.
Almost thought you said you were going to come out to Sonoma. I was about to get all. You were like, I'm gonna, and I was like, what? That'd be fantastic.
That'd be. I wish. I need a few more people to hand me $10, and then that'll happen.
And I also thought that you were going to put Legge in your Underdog lineup or your Underdog.
I might. Hey, look, if I'm trying to max it out, the top 10 is the hard part. But you got to throw somebody in there as a top 10, or a better than 10 thing because it increases their multiplier. You also get the top manufacturer in there. So we could probably get pretty wild. And I think they max out at like 250 times their entry fee or something. So we're going for broke, Rod. Maybe I'll afford a ticket to Sonoma this weekend.
Woo, that'd be fantastic. All right. Well, yes, follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the about everything I got going on, whether it's here. Make sure you're checking out Seth and Elliott tonight, or if it's tomorrow on Friday, go back and check it out on YouTube, on the In Between Media YouTube. They're breaking down Sonoma for you. I'm going to have all kinds of coverage from the race as well. I cannot wait. This is one day closer. So, yeah, follow me there and check it all out. We'll see you guys next week for our post-Sonoma wrap-up and more racing breaking down here from the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Love you all. We'll see you guys next week. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.